let me just say, I am working my dream job. I get to do what I love to do, where I love to do it. And I love my job, period, end of sentence. We are a medical professional society about the profession of pediatrics, which is about the care and well-being of children. And there is nothing more important on this earth than the children of the world. One of the things you will often hear me say is we're the American Academy of Pediatrics, not the American Academy of Pediatricians, because our mission is not about doctors. A lot of organizations are about their very specific members, and while we are a membership-based organization and we are about our members, our North Star is children, always has been, always will be. But early on, doctor by the name of Dr. Robert Block was addressing the staff at large, and it codified the mission and the passion of why these individuals have chosen to be pediatricians. And he said, while it is certainly true that every adult was once a child, the unfortunate truth is not every child gets to be an adult. And that is why we do what we do. My first day at the Academy consisted of getting on an airplane and going to our national conference, which is, anywhere between 14 and 16,000 of your closest friends. Mm-hmm. Never having seen my desk, never having seen anything other than the inside of the HR area. I literally was at our national conference, meeting members, talking to people, and just trying to understand what this association is all about.
I've heard you're like the third or fourth person that I've heard their first day, or maybe not literally first day, but first major experience within the first week was going to the annual meeting, and how helpful it was to not know anything. Just like a friend of mine who's a teacher, joined an association, 3 days later was at their annual meeting running the information area, and she said it was the best onboarding you could ask for because you had no preconceived ideas. It's usually conferences are happy events, people are welcoming and they want you to learn, and they're very friendly. So I've heard that that's a really good way to start a job.
Trying to get everybody to work together and really accept the fact that they are a stakeholder, and they have to understand that they're, it's not, you can't just turn it over. I mean, if you turn it over, you're going to get what you get. And
so how do you do that?
I started by every other week sending an all staff email, like here's where we're at, here's what we're doing. And I would make the emails fun, not just a technology boring update. Like I encoded my messages. So I would make references to song and movie and challenge people. The first one back who hit all the references gets a prize. Within a minute of sending my messages, there was always somebody that came back and said, you quoted this movie, this book, this song.
Dang, that's a good side hustle. You need to publish that. Right. I would buy it.
It's pretty good.
It's a lot of fun. I try to live this all the time. I like to be an open book. I am not I'm an all cards on the table kind of a person, right? And I know Jake and Ben, you know this about me, right? Like I believe bad news doesn't get better with age. And Jake's heard me say that a time or million. But you got to be honest. If you have to be able to hold each other accountable and have open relationships, and that's not just with your vendors or your partners. That's with your staff. That's with your team. It's with your colleagues. I mean,
digital transformation. How much time we got?
Oh my! 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I guess it would have been getting a new computer. Yeah, maybe 10 years ago, digital transformation would be getting everybody maybe a laptop or new website or the latest version. I mean, talk about data warehousing or big data or Internet of Things or CDP now, I think they're calling it, right? Like for us, digital transformation became, it really was organizational transformation, right? But we were doing a lot of different things in different directions and not allowing those things to talk to each other necessarily. You're writing a journal article, like for a literal magazine journal, and that's one thing. But what does the abstract look like? How different is that? Do you post a bunch of PDFs on a web page? Do you need an e-commerce platform that requires 17 clicks to buy a book? No.
Was that the case with you guys?
It might have been.
It's focusing on digital literacy as much as the digital transformation, because we're seeing that people know the top layer of a word, but they really do not understand how all of the permutations and the nuance, and we're finding that's where people are getting tripped up.
Comparisons back to industry versus the association space, right? Like we're held up against Google and Microsoft and Amazon for shopping experience, right? Like, the medical students today, they don't 17 clicks. No.
You're trying to manage change of use of technology. What are some of the tactics that you're using to educate your colleagues so that it goes across and down and up? Are there ways?
I try to tell stories, and that seems to me, if you can either tell a story or use an analogy to get your point across, and especially when you're dealing with people that technology is not necessarily their forte, the more you can relate it to their day-to-day lives, the sooner they will jump on board with you. And anybody that is traveling internationally actually has to notify us in advance because you won't be able to log in and get access to email or any of the systems. Have you ever traveled overseas and had to call the credit card company and give them a travel alert, let them know? Well, that's because they want to know that your card isn't being used fraudulently. And sure enough, you draw that in, people start to understand that. Oh, okay, no problem, I get it. Or the same thing with multi-factor authentication or doing the things that you need to do to protect the organization, right? I don't want to go in there and say, all right, well, we're going to enable MFA because, every time your token expires, no. That glazed look immediately comes over their face, and you could tell they're not listening to you and instantaneously. And it doesn't matter what you say. You can have the perfect answer, you can have the perfect technological reasoning for it, but they don't understand. So
here's a fun question I like to ask about digital transformation, because a lot of people do define it differently in the context of their world. Is there an end to a digital Is there an end to it?
So my crowning glory, I'm just gonna say, my crowning glory was when we were first taking this effort, and talking to our board of directors about what we were going to do and how we were going to spend, is I kept saying, this is not a project. Digital transformation is not a project. There is no end. It is something that we need to, it's continual iteration, and we need to keep going, right? Like this, once it starts, it doesn't stop. A few board meetings later, I actually heard board members saying, oh yeah, we're going to talk about digital transformation. We know this is something we're going to be doing for years.
Oh, dang. All right.
Yes.
And what are some tips you can give to other people about how to manage multiple work streams effectively?
Making sure that you have good business partners, people that kind of are willing to step up and own or be the owner of a given function or work stream. It may seem bureaucratic, but it really helps us to focus what is important and to control those work streams as best that we can. The other thing I would tell you that has helped us as a technology team is shifting our mindset. I know Agile and Scrum are kind of the things to do, but it works. It works. But I would encourage anyone to really consider talking to your team about implementing some form of Scrum and Agile process within your workflow.
Oh. So you'll notice I have custom in quotes, and you briefly talk
whether they're business partners inside the organization or outside of the organization, that we try not to conflate the word configuration and customization. What does that mean? Well, does that mean you can configure the platform for what we need, or does that really mean you're going to change your platform to model our process? A platform upgrade that took multiple years, and they often remind you about the implementation of a system that took 7 years because it had to be built the way your organization works. Right? And that's really, we bore the battle scars of what that word customization meant. Willing to think outside of the box and kind of just help your business partners understand, well, look, I understand you need to do it this way, but why? Can you explain to me why? Why can't we do it this way? Is it possible if we rethought the way we were doing registration or subscriptions or insert whatever option you want, and let's face it, build versus buy is always the question, right? We live in a very fortunate time where technology is plentiful. You don't have to build a shopping cart. You can buy one. So why do I have to build my own custom shopping cart to do all these things when I could just buy one and implement it? Just because we're in the association space doesn't mean we're we should be looked down upon, or we should have any less expectations. Well, our game is on the line, and I'm talking about kids. Well, where's my respect? Where's my love? Like, there is no reason that we as technology professionals should expect any less from our technology partners and vendors, and that's the expectation. If you're my partner, we have a very solid relationship. We have open trust, bilateral communication, right? We have that. We have the ability to call each other out and hold each other accountable. And I rely on you. I am looking for you to help me. I'm going to turn right, and you can see that turning right is the wrong direction. Let's talk about that.
I'm right.